welcome to Daily News Capsule. Let's go through the important pieces of news that have appeared in the newspaper of today. So the first piece of information that is coming your way is this article that is having the title Understanding Dark Patterns. Please try to recall that in one of the previous videos I had highlighted a news that where the government was deliberating upon the fact that how to control the dark patterns of advertisement, specifically in the online domain. So the article is a follow-up to that particular piece of information. Now, what has happened that the Department of Consumer Affairs and the Advertising Standard Council of India has recently held a joint consultation with stakeholders on the menace of dark patterns. So please understand, let's try to see that what is meant by dark patterns. As the article gives the information, it's a lengthy and a detailed article. To keep the length of the video short, I'll just go through the important points, and it's for you to go through the entire article. Specifically, you have to go through these highlighted points. So it is this Henry Bridgenell, a user experience researcher in the UK, who has introduced this phrase dark pattern in the year 2010. And what are these dark patterns? These are characterized by deceptive strategies used to trick the clients, the consumers. A dark pattern refers to a design or user interface technique that is intentionally created to manipulate or deceive users into making certain choices or taking specific actions that may not be in their best interest. It is a deceptive practice employed to influence user behavior in a way that benefits the company implementing it. Now, what can be the various examples in this regard? For example, a common dark pattern is the sneak into basket technique used on e-commerce websites. When a user adds an item into their shopping cart, a dark pattern may be employed by automatically adding additional items to the cart without the user's explicit consent or clear notification. Now, this is the classic example of this dark pattern methodology that is used by e-commerce website, to lure the customers into buying something or getting the consent from them with respect to a particular commodity or product which they do not want, essentially. Now, the government of India has come out with a definite strategy with respect to the reining in, with respect to controlling these dark patterns. And that point is highlighted over here, that the Department of Consumer Affairs and the Advertising Standard Council of India has identified the issue and recently taken up certain steps to handle the same. First and foremost, what was done that on June 30th, 2023, the Indian online marketplaces, these e-commerce websites, they received a letter from Department of Consumer Affairs warning them against engaging in unfair trade practices by implementing these dark patterns. Furthermore, the letter that was issued from the Department of Consumer Affairs, it highlighted that respect should be given to the idea of consumer rights, as have been stated in Section 2, Subsection 9 of the Consumer Protection Act 2019. So please understand that this is again a developing story, because dark pattern is something which the government is taking seriously care of, and when the detailed regulations in this regard would be coming into picture, they definitely would be coming your way. But at the same time, with respect to this article, another important piece of information is mentioned in this segment, that what are the global regulators saying? What are the views regarding dark patterns? No, internationally. So this is the piece of information that you should go through, that in a letter to UK businesses, the Competition and Market Authority of UK lists different pressure selling tactics that the CMA believes would likely violate consumer protection laws and for which action will be taken. Now, guidelines from the European Data Protection Board were released in 2022 and offered designers and users of social media platforms practical guidance on how to stop and avoid the so-called dark patterns in social media interfaces that are in violation of the general data protection regulation laws. So this is the piece of information with respect to dark patterns. This deals with consumer rights. This touches upon Indian polity. This touches upon economy as well of the economy component of the syllabus of the examination. Moving further, moving to the next piece of information. Now this is the piece of information is related to the High Seas Treaty. This is important for environment and ecology component of the syllabus as well as the international relations. Now, what is this information all about? On June 19th, the United Nations adopted the Marine Biodiversity of Areas Beyond National Jurisdiction, or the High Seas Treaty, and it became the third agreement to be approved under United Nations Convention on Law of Seas, UNCLOS United Nations Convention on Law of Seas, after the 1994 and 1995 treaties, which established the International Seabed Authority and Fish Stocks Agreement. Now, the entire article deals with the finer nuances of how the negotiation with respect to this particular treaty, this high seas treaty, was maneuvered through, how the negotiations happened, and all. This portion deals with this portion. This much deals with the negotiation aspect. Now, what is the details of the treaty? This is mentioned in these two paragraphs. You can say the treaty aims to address critical issues such as increasing sea interface temperatures, overexploitation of marine biodiversity, overfishing, coastal pollution, and unsustainable practices beyond national jurisdiction. Now, the first step is establishing marine protected areas to protect oceans from human activities through a 3/4 majority vote, which prevents the decision from getting blocked by one or two parties. On the fair sharing of benefits from marine genetic resources, the treaty mandates sharing of scientific information and monetary benefits through installing a clearhouse mechanism, and through the mechanism, information on marine protected areas, marine genetic resources, and area-based management tools will be open to access for all the parties. So it's a very elaborate treaty mechanism that has been adopted by the United Nations with respect to the conservation of marine biodiversity, which is beyond the national jurisdiction of particular countries, meaning thereby in the international waters. Now, this paragraph gives the information that why did it took such a long time for the signing of the treaty, and obviously international politics, international geopolitics would have been one of the reasons, and the information in this regard has been provided. Last paragraph is important, that is who opposed this treaty, who all are the countries which are opposing this treaty. Please go through this. Many developed countries oppose the treaty as they stand by private entities which are at the forefront of advanced research and development in marine technology. Patents related to many marine genetic resources are held by a small group of private companies. So private players obviously would not be willing to share their intellectual property, you can say. Russia and China are also not in favor of the treaty. Russia withdrew from the last stage of reaching a consensus in this intergovernmental committee that has intergovernmental conference. This intergovernmental conference, which was given the responsibility of doing the negotiations. So Russia withdrew from the last stage, arguing that the treaty does not balance conservation and sustainability. So this is the piece of information more relevant for environment and ecology component of the syllabus as well as international relations. Moving on to the next news, and this is related to the delimitation exercise that will be happening with respect to the seats in the national parliament. And this becomes important because our constitution mandates that after 2026, after the year 2026, delimitation exercise, you can say increase in the number of seats in the parliament, this exercise has to be taken up so that proper representation is provided to to the population. So it's a long article, but then again, certain factual information related to the history is also present, like this All India Kisan Sabha, the peasants wing of Communist Party of India, which had the first meeting in the Founders Conference in 1936 in Lucknow. And like GK tidbits are provided in this segment. The more important aspect of the analysis of this article is that the population based census and the population based delimitation exercise, how it will impact the states which are having larger populations and states which are having smaller population figures or lesser population figures. So the article gives the alternatives to have you can say a balanced approach towards the idea of delimitation exercise, meaning thereby situation should not be created in a country where the states which are having larger population are given more number of seats, whereas the states which have gone for population stabilization, they are victimized for adopting population stabilization policies. So what are the alternatives? The alternatives are here in this paragraph of the article. Now what does the article's alternative says? There are two alternatives. One, we go for another freeze, meaning thereby we should not go for delimitation exercise this time, not for any specific time period, but for until all states have achieved population stabilization. Now this is one alternative, and the other is we request demographic and statistical experts to devise a mathematical model along the lines of the Cambridge Compromise, based on a mathematically equitable formula for the apportionment of the seats of the European Parliament between the member states. Now, this Cambridge Compromise is that mathematical model on the basis of which seats are allocated to different European countries in the European Parliament. So, the author is saying that we should adopt such kind of a mechanism, that we also have a mathematical model to divide the total number of seats in the Parliament after the delimitation exercise, when the total number of seats would be increasing, so that the formula cannot be applied to our situation as such, but it needs to be studied so as to customize it for our needs. Meaning thereby the author himself is sounding a note of caution that merely or directly copying the Cambridge Compromise mathematical model and applying it to the Indian situation would be counterproductive. We have to customize that mathematical model as per our own suitability. So this is important for Indian polity portion of the syllabus. Moving on to the next news, this is related to science and tech. Now this is the news related to the exit examination in the sense that after completing the MBBS course, medical science course, all the doctors have to go through the exit examination, so that they become eligible, so that they can be given the license to practice medicine in India. So the Indian Medical Association has appealed the National Medical Council to take a relook at its proposed exit examination for all MBBS students in the country, which will now be the licentiate exam and postgraduate selection exam. This is an important piece of information, that after clearing that exit exam only, a MBBS student can practice medicine, can practice medicine within the country, as well as this exit exam would be used, and the score in the exit exam would be used for the postgraduate studies, selection for the postgraduate studies in the various medical colleges. So the IMA has given certain rationale that why this National Medical Council should take a relook, should again consider its stand on this medical exit exam. So this again is a developing story, because this is an appeal made by the Indian Medical Association to the National Medical Council. Let's see how it develops, and as and when it develops, the new information would be coming your way. Moving on to the next news, this is again a competitor of Twitter has come into picture, and this is in the form of Threads. The name of the platform is Threads. This is developed by Meta, the parent company of Facebook and WhatsApp, as well as Instagram and other social media platforms. So Twitter is having a competitor, and this news this piece of news gives information about the new platform. What are the features of the new platform? What are the features that are offered by this new platform is being detailed in these highlighted portions. So you can go through this news, again important for current affairs as well as science and tech, because sometimes a question is asked that how many characters are allowed in a tweet as per the Twitter rules and norms. So this kind of tidbit kind of an information is here in this news. Moving on to the next one. Now this is related to the Indian economy. That finance ministry pushes for reforms to spur FDI, foreign direct investment. The finance ministry has made a strong pitch for measures to facilitate FDI flows that dipped last year and may remain subdued in the coming months. Now, the finance ministry has identified that certain factors for reduced FDI inflow in the country, and these have been identified in this segment of the news article, blaming the dip in the FDI inflows in fiscal year 23 to inflationary pressures and tightening monetary policies. The ministry noted that FDI flows may also be impacted by political distance more than geographical distance, as geopolitics has dominated geography. Meaning thereby they are trying to factor in the various conflicts that are going on around the world and how they have impacted inflow of FDI in India because of India's stand on various aspects, various issues in this regard. Meaning thereby geopolitics has played a dominant role in the dipping of FDI inflows in India. Now here in this article they have the finance ministry has used a phrase, friend shoring. Now friend shoring, as I have highlighted, friend shoring means friend shoring of FDI by increasing investment in countries. What does this friend shoring means? Friend shoring means that increasing FDI investments in countries which are geopolitically aligned to each other, in comparison to other countries which are going against the geopolitical stands of that particular country, which from where the FDI originates. So this information, what is the detailed information regarding friend shoring, is provided in this segment of the article. You can go through this entire article, but the highlighted portions are important for the purpose of examination. So this becomes more important for international relations as well as the Indian economy component of the exam, of the syllabus of the exam. So these are the newsworthy articles for today. I'll see you in the next session. Thank you very much.